everyone, welcome to Windy Wonders, Portland District Library's latest Littles art project. My name is Miss Eileen and I am going to be helping you complete your wind chime today. That's right, we're going to be making a wind chime to hang outside. You should have already picked up your take and make bag here at the library, and this is going to have the supplies to complete the project. Now, caregivers, just so you know, you are going to be helping your little one build their wind chime today. This is going to be a partner project. You're going to want to grab a pair of scissors because we are going to be needing those a little bit later as we get through the first few steps of our project. All right, is everyone ready to get started? Let's get to it. Before we actually get started building our wind chime today, I want to go over what you received in your take and make bag for the supplies. You should have 4 of these teal colored wooden sticks, a chunk of orange yarn, some really colorful beads, and then you're going to have 5 washers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then caregivers, make sure you've got those scissors handy when we get to needing to cut our yarn. We're going to use those. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and set aside all of those beads. We don't need those quite yet. And we're going to set aside our washers. And the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to use our yarn to tie together all 4 of our teal wooden sticks. And this is what we're going to use to hang our washers and our beads from to make our actual wind chime. And putting the sticks together is just going to make everything a little bit sturdier. So caregivers, what we're going to do, and littles, if you want to help with this part, we're going to go ahead and take our yarn. And it's one really long piece. And what I want you to do is find both ends and put them together. And then you're going to take that and you're going to basically fold your yarn in half. And we're going to go ahead and cut it. So now we have 2 equal sized pieces of yarn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut these 2 pieces so that we have 6 pieces of yarn total, which means that we're going to cut not in half, but we want thirds. So lay out your yarn and then caregivers, show your little how to find the third mark. So 1/3 and then 2/3. And then caregivers, if you want to cut the yarn, go ahead. Otherwise, if you can have your little help with cutting the yarn. So by the end of cutting, we should have 6 almost equal pieces of orange yarn. Can you count your 6 pieces of yarn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you should have your 4 pieces of wood. So count those with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great job. So we're going to set aside 1 piece of yarn for the very end. So we're going to set that aside. So now we have 5 pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie those 5 pieces down our wooden sticks so that it's just going to be dangling. And caregivers, depending on how old your little is, they can either help with the tying part and you can hold the sticks, or they can hold the sticks and you can help with the tying part. Whatever you guys work out and find is easiest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first piece of yarn and I'm going to lay my wooden sticks on top of one of my first pieces of yarn, like this. And then I'm going to tie it. And I'm going to do a double knot, just so that it doesn't come undone. And again, we're trying to tie our sticks together. And we're going to do a double knot. So just like that. And we're going to repeat that with all of our pieces of yarn. So there's 2. And if I end up going a little too quickly at any point in this video, go ahead and pause the video to catch up to me. This is your project, and I definitely don't want you to rush through it, and we want to make sure you're having fun. So take your time. Okay, so I'm on number 4. And again, I almost wish I had another set of hands to hold the sticks. So hopefully you guys are finding it better to have 2 sets of hands. Okay, so I'm on my last one. Okay. So, now this is what it looks like. We can always trim up our ends once we're done. This is what we want it to look like. We've got 5 pieces of yarn. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to lay out my washers, and we have 5 washers. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's going to match our 5 pieces of orange yarn that we have. But before we put those on, we need to add our beads. And this is where you can pick however you want your beads to go on. And you want some beads, and I guess you don't have to put beads on all 5 pieces of yarn. I am going to. You could choose to put them on just a couple pieces, so completely up to you. And what you're going to do is you'll just take one of your beads on one piece of your yarn, wherever you want your beads to be, and you're going to put the yarn through the bead. And caregivers, this is a great fine motor skill for our little ones, and also hand-eye coordination, so they have to bring one hand with the bead to the one hand with the piece of yarn. And again, however you can help your little one do this, and you can practice colors and counting during this activity. So I have put 1 purple bead on my first string, and now I'm going to pick a yellow one and then a blue one. And I'm stringing them all the way to the top because that'll make it easier when we go to tie our washer on. I am going to do a couple more beads on this string, but I want beads on all of my strings. So again, you can pause the video if I'm going a little too quickly. If you want to practice your colors and your counting, definitely go ahead and pause the video. But I'm going to go ahead and keep stringing more of these beads onto my second piece of string. Here so far I have 5 beads on my second one, and I have 6 beads total. Let's see, what color am I missing? Green. So I'm going to end up putting 6 beads, I think, on each of my little strings here. And again, you can do this however you want. You can put all your beads on the same string if you want to. You don't even have to add beads if you don't want to. That's fine too. And we're practicing, again, those fine motor skills of having to string beads on our yarn. Okay, now I'm going to move on to my fourth piece of yarn. I still really like all the different colors that I'm using. I've got orange and yellow and magenta. What color next? Let's see. Let's do pink, and we'll do a green one, and I think we'll do a blue one. Yeah, let's do blue. Okay, and the next one, let's see, what do I want to start with? I'm going to start with purple, and then pink, and then orange, and green, and red, and I think we're going to do another pink one. Okay, so I have my 6 beads that I want on each of my strings. I'm going to set aside the extras. And we are now onto the part of putting our washers on the ends of our orange pieces of yarn. So again, what we have to do is we have to put the end of the yarn through the hole, and then we're gonna tie another double knot. There's the first one, and that's also going to help keep our beads on. Okay, so now we're going to do the second one. And what you want to try to do is tie them at the same height, because you want them to be able to kind of clink together. So some of my pieces of orange yarn are a little bit longer than the others. Going with that third one, so number 3. Tie that one, another double knot. And then number 4. Just like the other ones. Okay, now we're on the last one. Okay, I'm going to tie that one. Okay, so now I have all 5 of my washers tied to the end of my orange yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have a couple more steps. So one is optional, is you can trim the parts of your string after we've knotted them, and that'll just kind of clean up the whole look. And then the other one is, remember that 6th piece of yarn we had cut? So that can be attached so that we can actually hang the wind chime up somewhere outside. And then it'll clink together when the wind blows, and it'll make all sorts of noise like you hear right now. thank all of you so much for joining me today for Windy Wonders. I hope you had as much fun as I did putting together your wind chime. And just a reminder, you can hang this outside somewhere or even in front of a window inside. So anywhere that it's going to catch that wind and hit those little washers together to make some sound and chime together. And as always, I would love to see any videos or pictures of you completing your project or of your completed wind chime hanging up somewhere. You can send those to me at the email address coming across your screen. Thanks again for crafting along together with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.